love books, and they love me. I get them free at the library. I read them once. I read them twice. Library books are oh so nice. Hi friends. Today's story is about twins. Those are two people that are born at the same time, and these are twin brothers, and they've written a story about playing football because that's what they did. They were NFL superstars, and they've written the story called Teammates, and that'll be our story for today. Teammates, Tiki and Rondé Barber, illustrated by Barry Root, a Paula Wiseman book, a division of Simon & Schuster Books for Young Readers, was the publisher, and it was copyrighted in 2006. First there was daylight, and then there wasn't. The hole in the line opened and closed that quickly. Smack! Tiki saw the football fly into the air at the same moment he fell on his feet. He felt his feet go out from under him. Fumble! Get it! Tiki lay on his side, helplessly watching the squirming mass of arms and legs 5 yards away. The referee was poking under and peeling off the bodies. Rondé was the next to last player at the bottom of the pile. Maybe, but no. The Vikings had lost the ball on a fumble for the 3rd time. Yes, it was only a preseason practice game. Still, it was against the Vikings' arch rivals, the Knights. Tiki, head down, shuffled off the field, wishing he could just plain disappear. He stared down at his 2 hands. What gives? I've always carried the ball this way before. And their team is the same team as the name for the Humboldt Vikings. After the game, the twins were waiting for their mother to pick them up. Along with Coach Mike, they walked toward the practice field. They sat on a bench by the fence. Rondé tried to cheer her brother up. It's okay, Tiki. Mistakes happen. Coach Mike interrupted. Mistakes do happen, but you can make them happen less often if you... The coach paused, searching for the right words. Practice? Tiki jumped in. The coach smiled. Have you heard the old saying, practice makes perfect? The coaches smiled back and nodded. Who hadn't heard that one? Well, it's not exactly true. Was this some kind of joke? If you're not practicing the right way, you're just practicing your bad habits. Huh? Coach Mike held the football in front of him with one hand. If you practice carrying a football like this, you'll never really get good because it's the wrong way to carry the ball. Then Coach Mike went on. See? 4 contact points. 1, your fingers around the tip. 2, the other tip in your armpit. 3, one side of the ball against your forearm. 4, the other side against your chest. Try knocking it out, he said. Tiki and Rondé took turns trying, but no luck. 1, 2, 3, 4 contact points, the coach repeated. You do it. He handed the football to Tiki. A car horn sounded. The twins waved and scrambled toward their mother's car, with Tiki carrying the football firmly tucked in his arm. Hi, Mike. Hi, Mrs. Barber. We were just talking about the right way to carry a football. Mrs. Barber laughed. Good, because we have to carry some boxes of dishes tonight from the pantry to a closet, and I don't want anything dropped. In the lunchroom on Monday, Tiki was the last to arrive at the table where several of the football players sat. But something was strange. When Tiki sat down, all the excited talking seemed to stop. Zip. There was an awkward silence. Tiki glanced at Rondé, who looked away. Slowly the table emptied. See you at practice. At last, Tiki sat alone with Rondé. What were you guys talking about? Oh, Tiki eyed his half-eaten plate of food. Nothing. Come on, tell me. Rondé paused. Then in a quiet voice he said, Jason and some of the other guys think you should block more and carry the ball less. They think your fumbles are hurting our chances. Suddenly, Tiki's hot dog didn't taste so good. And what'd you say? Well, Rondé gulped. What's that supposed to mean? Tiki, you're our best runner, but maybe. The bell rang. Tiki took the last bite of his hot dog. The twins headed for the door. See you after school at the fort, Tiki called out as Rondé waved and raced up the stairs, 2 steps at a time. The fort was in a vacant lot. Tiki and Rondé had built it using some old barrels and a few weathered wood planks. Surrounded by tall weeds, it was a perfect hiding place. When a car passed, it seemed far, far away. This afternoon, Rondé had brought their special book. It was really a scrapbook. A big photo of a football was pasted on the cover. Inside the football, Rondé and Tiki had each drawn his face with his number beneath it. The scrapbook itself was filled with football players' pictures, facts, and records. Tiki sat glumly, his mind still on his teammates' words, while his brother flipped the book's pages. Rondé's head bobbed up and down, searching for interesting facts. Question: who kicked the most career field goals? That's a snap, Tiki answered. George Blanda. The guy played forever. Rondé turned more pages. You think you're so cool? Try this. Walter Payton scored the most career rushing touchdowns. But who's second? Tiki thought for a moment. John Riggins? No. Franco Harris. You're wrong twice. Give up? Let's hear it. John Brown, 106 to Walter's 110. Suddenly, Rondé stopped. He held up a loose sheet containing a picture with a caption underneath it. Check this out. Some inventor is trying to make a tackling machine. He handed the picture to Tiki and went on. It's weird looking. The padded arms try to knock the ball away, too. It's supposed to help practice against fumbling. It's too complicated. It looks dumb. It won't work. Rondé studied the picture again, more intently. Hey, he looked at his brother. I've got an idea. A better idea. Yo, you'll see. It's a surprise. We start tomorrow morning. You game? Tiki rolled his eyes. What's this all about? He and Rondé always did stuff together. Okay, was all he said. Whatever. The next morning, Tiki and Rondé rode their bicycles in the pale early light. Rondé led the way. Turning into the park, he stopped at the edge of the golf course, got off his bike, and took 2 helmets and a football from a big bag attached to his handlebars. Here, he handed Tiki a helmet. Next, he placed 2 long sticks on the ground to mark off a kind of narrow runway. Now, he said, flipping Tiki the football, try to get through. A human tackling machine. Easy. Tiki caught the ball and walked backward. Then he spun around and darted forward, trying to race past Rondé while still staying between the sticks. Not so fast. Rondé tackled his brother and with a free hand slapped hard at the football. The ball, loosely gripped, popped out of Tiki's arms and dribbled off to one side. Again. This time Tiki barreled straight ahead. Rondé ducked underneath and came up with 2 hands and ripped the football loose. 2-0. It went on like this for a while. Sometimes Tiki and the ball got through, sometimes not. Yet he was beginning to understand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Both boys were gasping for breath. Rondé was having a harder time loosening the ball. They heard a clock chime from a distant tower. Time to cut. Tomorrow morning? You're on, bro. The days passed. Hot Indian summer gave way to the cool days of fall, but some things stayed the same. Tiki and Rondé studied hard each night. Homework first, their mother always said. And they liked to read. Tiki especially liked books about space flights and astronauts. Rondé loved adventure stories. But the twins also kept up their secret morning practice club. And the Vikings started to win. They won their first game with a strong second-half comeback. They won their second game in a romp. They won number 3 and then number 4. The team was coming together. Tiki's game was improving too. In the fifth game, another Vikings victory, he was blindsided and dragged to the ground with a hard tackle, but he held on to the ball. Coach Mike took notice. Tiki no longer waved the ball in the air, or tried to palm it like a loaf of bread, or pushed it out in front as he raced downfield. Your brother's more than just a runner now, the coach remarked to Rondé. He's a ball carrier, our go-to guy. Yes, Rondé answered the coach. Tiki's on a roll. It's called confidence, Coach Mike replied while still watching the action on the field. And every good football player has it. Rondé glanced sideways at Tiki and gave a nod that only Tiki could see. Tiki felt stronger than ever before. He felt like he was the man. After a while, the secret morning practice club had a new member. Paco was bent over, hands on knees, breathing hard. So that's it, he exclaimed. You guys do this extra stuff, when all along I thought you were naturals. And now I find out. Rondé broke in. Hey, talk less. A few more turns and we're done. With two tacklers, it was much more difficult. Sometimes Tiki got away from Rondé, only to run into Paco, who held Tiki up as Rondé dove at the ball. Sometimes Paco and Rondé hit Tiki at the same time, both swatting the ball, but Tiki held on. I should call Paco meat and you grinder, Tiki joked to his brother. The boys sat on the grass. Saturday was another big game against the Knights. They don't just tackle you, Rondé said. They tackle the ball. You nervous, Teak? Paco asked. Like Coach says, keep the faith, and I will. Tiki nervous? Rondé answered, Paco confidently. He shakes off any jitters by remembering what Coach said. 1, 2, 3, 4. The three friends laughed and clapped high fives. They hopped on their bikes and headed off to school.